Abdulov was right in way to the races.
Now with sunbeltrentals.com.
Back in the corner. Back up.
So who are you guys talking to? Who are you guys commentating? Okay. Well, the truck or people watching? No, it's supposed to be live here.
Yeah, it's like a picture. They're going to go ahead and put in their reports about Mr. Richardson. Wow, that first round, some would argue a 10-8 by Abdulov there, but Richardson able to play it cool, play it calm. He even gave up the takedown there early in that second round, but still was able to wear out the likes of Abdulov, able to climb on the back and get that rear naked choke finish. Wow, what a great job there.
Abdulov was physically dominant. You know, the black belt in judo, he seemed to essentially dictate the pace of this fight, but Ethan Richardson, you mentioned the purple belt in jiu-jitsu, hung in there, found an opening, and locked in the rear naked choke for arguably the biggest moment of his life. And that was cinched in, that was incredibly tight. Abdulov had no choice but to succumb to the rear naked choke.
And 18 years old, now 2-0 with basically 2 finishes. I know they're going to count that one in the record books as a doctor stoppage, but I looked at that technically as a finish. He was able to go ahead and stop his opponent from competing. We now look to take it over to Garrett Furtek for our official fight announcement.
The rear naked choke brings on the 10th official time. 1 minute, 31 seconds of the second round. Declaring your winner by submission, the Ethanizer, Ethan Richardson.
And Ethan, the Ethanizer Richardson. Ethan, the Ethanizer Richardson giving some reassurance to the crowd here. And climbing to 2-0 now at 18 years old, possibly a looming threat for the champions here going off in that co-main and main event. Catchweight bout for him here tonight at 140, so he's in between both of those championship
But he
matches.
told us this morning, he said, I have no trouble at 135. And, you know, he's 18 years old. It's fairly easy to fluctuate your weight at 18 years old. He's got the fast metabolism, and he certainly has a lot of skills, as it's time now for the 4th fight of the prelims.
Ready now to make his way, Jose Martinez.
What's her name? Find out it on a chain. They really gonna rush me when I get in the game. Doing it for 18, for the money and the fame. So I'm spitting too much, yeah, baby, I'm insane. What's her name? What's her name? Find out it on a chain.
Jose Martinez out of Bruno Lima, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, coming in with a record of 2-0 with 1 knockout and had a unanimous decision victory back at A120. And he has a very interesting story, balancing his life as a fighter and a firefighter for the Forest Service, handling wildfires and rescues. So facing difficult situations is something he's very accustomed to.
And this is somebody that, although he has faced some challenges in his early MMA career, facing the likes of Mr. Frank Loya and James Huffer, and I know in that first one had a dominant performance, but still, he said every fight to him has always been a challenge. And just like how he looks at his career in the wildland and firefighting, he looks at it in the cage. He says he diagnoses every single punch. He just really looks at every fight very methodically. So I'm very excited to see Jose Martinez embark in this third amateur MMA venture. And
also he mentioned, you know, he is 28 years old. He's even more focused than some other fighters because he did start kind of late. Started off boxing just 4 years ago, so he feels like he's making up for lost time. He thinks he's added grappling as a real emphasis over the past couple of years, and he thinks tonight he's the most well-rounded he's ever been as we await Martinez to enter the cage in this welterweight battle.
And when asking Martinez why exactly he entered boxing, he said just needed some discipline, and I was 24 years old with a lot of time on my hands. You know, he didn't want to get into too much trouble, and he said getting into a boxing gym was one of the better decisions he ever made in his life. That boxing coach then introducing him over there to Bruno Lima, and now looking to be 3-0 here tonight.
Now on his way to the cage, Ernesto Miranda.
It's been an outstanding 2024 for Ernesto Miranda, having his hand raised in his first 2 amateur fights, including a first-round knockout in his amateur debut. Michael, very impressive athlete, wrestler all through childhood, and as you can see, in incredible condition.
Ernesto Type 1 Miranda said that he quit his junior year of high school in wrestling, just said that, you know, he was in high school, wasn't really feeling it at the time, but was very skilled in his work and was able to go over there to Team Alpha Male, had a little bit of a gap in between his time there and his time at Tom Smash Fallon's gym over there in Auburn, California, but he is very excited for this matchup, says that he feels very confident in his game plan, thinks that he'll be taking him down, and to not sleep on the boxing of Mr. Ernesto Miranda.
Miranda actually told us this morning at the fighter interviews, he said, you know, as a wrestler, after high school, and once I got into my early 20s, all of a sudden I started seeing former teammates, former competitors that I wrestled against get into the cage, and I thought, wait a minute, I was a better wrestler than they were. I can do that too. And here he stands today, 25 years young, in the A1 cage.
Brought to you by Cat City Honda. Set for 3 2-minute rounds. We introduce first the blue corner. Standing 5'10", weighing 169.8 pounds. Undefeated at 2-0. He represents Bruno Lima Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy from Chico, California, Jose Martinez. Now introducing his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner. Standing 5'6", weighing 169 pounds. Also entering undefeated at 2-0, representing Fallon MMA from Citrus Heights, California, Ernesto Type 1 Miranda. Your referee, Mike Bentran.
The great Mike Beltran draws the assignment for the 4th fight of the prelims. 4 more to go, including 2 title fights. And you know, Miranda, we spoke to him earlier, and he said, yeah, my game plan's simple. Keep marching forward. I'm going to dictate the pace, I'm going to pressure him, and I'm going to knock him out.
And Miranda is someone that has a very dangerous, like how you said, a very dangerous pressuring style, especially with that grappling. So I'm very excited to see how him and Martinez match up, especially Martinez had a very, very successful fight in his last one against Loya over there at A1 Combat 20, was nearing a finish. So, I mean, you could be looking at his record a lot more differently, especially if it had two finishes on there in 2 fights. So definitely excited to see how this one gets underway.
Explosive.
Right away, it just seems that Miranda is attaching his head to that hip and to that leg, and he's just able to climb the ladder so well. And that's something that you were able to see in his last couple of fights, but once again showing that here against Jay Martinez.
I was about to say Martinez does have the height advantage, the reach advantage, but you can see the quick twitch muscle action of Ernesto Miranda, very powerful in his own right.
And both of these men just testing out their range here in the opening seconds. And man, it just seems like Ernesto Miranda's legs won't be able to contain those shin guards for much longer in this fight, man. Every single time he's throwing off a leg kick, it just seems like they're just gonna snap off of his leg right away, man.
Martinez told us he plans to dictate the pace of the fight. He really wants to keep it standing, and thus far I can understand why, considering Miranda once again shoots in this one. Successful double leg, but Martinez right back to his feet.
And good application of the uppercut there to second the attack by Miranda, but another great job there from Martinez getting away from the pool. It just seems that every single time that Miranda's getting a hold of that leg, Jose has just seemed to have been working on that, and possibly in the game plan to just work off of that cage and to go ahead and keep it in the center of the ring.
This combination there by Martinez, and
Jose
certainly more strikes thrown by Martinez in this first round.
Showing off that boxing background a whole lot here in the first, and just his, like how I said, really has tried to dictate the pace on the feet so far, and a tough round, first round for those judges to score here.
Yeah, very even, strong finish to the first round by Martinez, but Miranda was able to get this fight to the ground a few times.
It's always so difficult for these judges when they got to call these fights and they have to make the decision between what is more damaging, that grappling that's able to just neutralize the attack of your opponent, or being able to throw off so much strikes that your opponent has no choice but to just shoot. You know, it's the ever-long MMA quarry that everybody questions. So we will look to see how they look to continue to score things tonight. But both these gentlemen, very good pace so far, and I'm excited to see how these next 2 rounds play out here, Johnny.
Thus far, great technique from both fighters. Once again, the 4th fight here on the prelims. Coming up, still 2 title fights to go. Bantamweight title, Robbie Lopez, Jeffrey Bonia. Cannot wait for that one, as we are ready for the 2nd round here in this welterweight fight.
It seemed Jose was really trying to catch Ernesto a lot off of the takedown, especially when Ernesto was able to go ahead and grab a hold of the leg and Jose was able to break away. Jose was every single time trying to fire off a shot, trying to get 1-2 off. So may see a continuation of that here.
Well, Martinez has the leverage advantage, but Miranda knows that he is the quicker of the 2.
And looked like that may have clipped Martinez there, wobbled against the cage a bit there, able to get back to his feet. And just so much power being put into each shot is by the likes of Miranda.
Nice jab by Martinez, landing a rangefinder there, and once again Miranda shooting in, and down goes Martinez.
That may be the difference maker here tonight, Johnny. It just seems every single time that any momentum's gained going for Martinez, Miranda's able to neutralize it with his takedown.
And with a tremendous wrestler, that's what you're going to get. If Martinez is... quick stop here by Mike Beltran. Mike Beltran having a word with Miranda.
I believe possibly a cut on the eye of Miranda is the reason for the stoppage here.
Could have been an eye poke that we didn't see, maybe.
Yeah, definitely a different stoppage here by the likes of Mike Beltran, but I believe some blood gained into the eye of Miranda was the reasoning behind that one there.
Miranda says he's fine, but an eye poke can completely change the complexion in a drastic way of any fight. Let's hope that doesn't affect Miranda's vision. Now Beltran having a stern word with Jose Martinez. Beltran telling him next time it's going to be a penalty.
And Martinez has to keep that into mind, especially with a fight that is as close as this one here so far. Like how we were stating, you don't really know how the judges are going to score, especially with Miranda and with Martinez having their own applications of dominance so far. So definitely may need to take that into account looking forward and needs to steer clear of all types of mistakes here going into the second.
Doesn't appear that Miranda's vision is effective. I'm looking at that right eye to see if he's blinking a lot, but thus far, not really. And Martinez still trying to land some jabs as Miranda shoots in there.
And once again, Martinez has just been really trying to get that uppercut timing on the likes of Miranda, but hasn't seemed to get it just right. Miranda seemingly, once again, going back to the game plan of applying the pressure with the takedowns. Miss head kick opportunity there. And really has an overhand right Miranda has taken a real big liking to that overhand right here so far and has just really leaned on it. I wonder what he's going to go ahead and pull out here in this third round to possibly make the judges sway this fight here a little bit more his way.
Well, there's such a distinct reach advantage for Martinez. It's really difficult for Miranda to close that space with any kind of shot as we're going to go to a third and final round.
And you're 100% right. It doesn't seem, when you're looking at both these gentlemen, I think just because of the size of Miranda and how muscular and how built he looks for the weight class of 170, that it almost doesn't even look like the reach is that off between these two guys. But I can promise you, it definitely seems, especially when Martinez is able to throw those looping hooks, you really are able to, like how you said, see that distance between both gentlemen's reach.
And looking at Miranda, you could really see how smooth the transition has been from being a standout wrestler to being a mixed martial artist, especially when it comes to the grappling. I mean, he has such a powerful lower torso. I mean, the guy looks like he can squat 3 times his body weight, and it wouldn't shock me if he could. Whereas Martinez, obviously very powerful in his own right, started off boxing and has tried to add an emphasis to grappling as well to become as well-rounded as possible. And you know, in order to be a firefighter in the Forest Service, you have to have tremendous conditioning. So this has been a very even fight as we enter the third round.
Funny enough that you mentioned Ernesto Miranda being able to squat 3 times his body weight. Actually met Tom Fallon once again. Originally had started training at Team Alpha Male back in 2019. Had a little bit of a gap in between training once again in 2023 and
Oh, nice combination here by Miranda.
But originally was looking to get into bodybuilding was the likes of Ernesto Miranda. So not a surprising statement there from the likes of Johnny Laquasto about the physique there.
There are certainly parallels when it comes to bodybuilding and mixed martial arts. Obviously when it comes to diet, weight cuts. But a little bit more damage taken in the cage, and wow, what an explosive charge by Miranda.
And that has truly just been the difference maker here tonight. Miranda has been able to apply so much pressure with the takedowns and just overall the grappling. I mean, now looking to attempt a darts there, but just has really been able to neutralize any sort of attacks that Martinez has been able to try and drum up. And although Martinez has had his success here tonight, it's seeming to be Miranda mostly here.
Well, credit to Martinez, though. He's been able to get back to his feet on every successful takedown.
Once again, trying to get in the range of the likes of Miranda is Martinez. Trying to get, he's been really trying to attack the body of Miranda here, which is an unusual strategy, especially when you have the reach advantage like the likes of Martinez.
We're starting to see a lot more urgency here from Martinez in the final minute of the third round here.
An overhand right there attempted by the likes of Miranda, and really he is just stuck to that punch.
Well,
bread and butter almost.
Miranda said, I'm going to keep marching forward, and he truly has.
Sticking to the game plan is the likes of Mr. Ernesto Type 1 Miranda. Maybe that's going into that nickname a little bit, you know, just Type 1. He's really just going to keep it strictly to the basics, and he has done that tonight to possibly earn himself a 3rd win in his amateur career as these gentlemen look to swing it in these last commencing seconds.
Nice exchange. Oh, and a right hand lands at the buzzer, and that could have brought a decision victory home for Ernesto Miranda. In the closing seconds, both Martinez and Miranda said, hey, let's go. And that's exactly what they did. And it was Miranda that got the best of that exchange.
a great, and like how we were saying, he stuck to the bread and butter, had been executing that the whole entire fight, was just needing a little bit more close to the likes of Martinez, was able to land it crisply on that chin there in the commencing seconds of the third round. What a fight between both those gentlemen.
Exciting way to close out this welterweight clash. Fight number 4 on the prelim card is, this will be our 3rd decision of the night. Martinez really found his rhythm in the first round, but it was really Miranda who dictated the pace over rounds 2 and 3 as we go back to check out the action here in this 3rd round.
And once again, just the application of those hooks and just like how you said, able to break that range and there's that right. And both those gentlemen landing some shots there at that land of that. Oh, yep. A right landing for both gentlemen. And you can see a good little smile there from the likes of Ernesto Miranda, Johnny.
Well, Martinez, he landed a nice combination there, but it really was the right hook that put the emphasis on this fight as we await the score from the judges. Once again, the main event of the prelims coming up, the featherweight title on the line. Amarius Taylor, Roman Cornejo. We await that title fight as Garrett Fertig has the official word.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action-packed action, we go to your 3 judges at cage side for the decision. All 3 judges, Wade Vieira, Chad Shepard, and Daniel Mobley, see it the same. 29-28 for your winner by unanimous decision, Ernesto Type 1 Miranda.
Remaining undefeated in unanimous fashion, Ernesto Type 1 Miranda, 3-0. But great performance from both fighters.
And a lot of mutual respect shown between both gentlemen after the commencement of that bout. And how could you not? I mean, after putting the licks on each other like how they did at the end of that 3rd round, there was no other option but to go ahead and just shake each other's hand and be like, hey man, you were able to go ahead and execute some things in there. I was able to go ahead and execute some things. And just back to the drawing board is the likes of Jose Martinez. But I don't think that's a bad loss to take at all in your career, especially against a very, very skilled wrestler like Ernesto Miranda.
And it's not even back to the drawing board. Martinez did a lot of great things. He's an incredible athlete, and bright futures for both as we move on to the next fight.
Making his way now, Michael Seeley.
The 22-year-old out of Gracie Fighter Stockton, Michael Seeley, comes in tonight 2-2 as an amateur with 1 knockout, 1 submission. Weighed in today at 146.0. He fought Amarius Taylor, Michael, back at A119, and it didn't go his way, but he said, you know, that setback really helped me realize that I needed to be more present in my sparring, in my training. He said that knockout was essentially a big wake-up call for him.
And he said he feels really good coming into this bout with this team. He said they went back to the drawing board, and like how you said, this was a really big wake-up call for him. That last fight against Amarius Taylor, he realized, hey, I have some things I really need to work on in my own game. He recently got upgraded to a blue belt in jiu-jitsu underneath Sav Jitsu Victor Galdan, and he said he's just really confident in any aspect that the fight takes him. He said he was really confident in stand-up before, but really now just pairing it all together with the ground game, he feels ever more confident here tonight in his 5th amateur bout.
You mentioned the blue belt as he continues to progress in jiu-jitsu, but he told us earlier, he said, look, I think I'm the superior striker in this fight. So yeah, if it goes to the ground, I'm fully confident, but he thinks he can close this fight out standing up. So very strong words there, but very confident man coming in at 2-2. He will be facing a much more experienced opponent tonight as we await his entrance back to Garrett Fertig.
Please welcome Joey Bartholemy.
Strong ovation For Joey Bartholemy, coming in 5-8 as an amateur, 2 knockouts. He's dealt with a lot of adversity throughout his life. A lot of violent altercations, more than his fair share of fights. And, you know, Michael, he admits that when he entered the cage for the first time, he was untrained. All he wanted to do was brawl, and he thought that was going to take him to a lot of victories. Well, unfortunately, it led to multiple losses. So for years now, he's really fine-tuned his arsenal, and he still considers his style the art of street fighting, but it's much more precise than it used to be.
Joey Bartholemy, he's somebody that, as you said, has been very, very experienced in his time here in his amateur career, and now training over there with Castro MMA, with how we're going to see co-main event and main event, Ramon Cornejo, Robbie Lopez, along with the likes of Cyrus Povar, gained a lot of good work with a lot of big faces. He said in the lead up to this one, he wanted to dedicate this fight to his buddy Muhammad Ali, who over there in San Jose was recently victim to gun violence and is now paralyzed from the waist down. He said he dedicates this fight and everything he does forward in that cage to his very close friend.
Perfect Union Dispensaries presents our next bout, 3 3-minute rounds in the featherweight division. We introduce first the blue corner. Standing 5'7", weighing 146 pounds. As an amateur, his record stands at 2-2, with one of his wins coming by submission. Representing Gracie Fighter Stockton from San Andreas, please welcome Michael Seeley. And now introducing his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner, standing 5'6", weighing 147.5 pounds. His amateur record stands at 5 wins, 8 losses, representing Castro MMA from San Jose, California, Joey, the real one, Bartholemy. Your referee, David Shirley.
Featherweight bout here, about to be underway. David Shirley will be officiating. Michael, it certainly looks like these prelims are going to take us right up to the bell for going live on UFC Fight Pass.
100%, Johnny. It looks like we may be.
Right hand!
Right away, that right hand landed, and it seemed that he was setting up that 1-2 right from the jump. Fired off a 1-2 to kick off the fight, and then that second one landing with some vigor.
And now a combination followed by a takedown. Great start by Bartholemy.
And now looking to lock in a guillotine or possibly a buggy choke is the likes of Seeley in that full guard, but just trying to get that right leg and trying to establish that full guard is the likes of Seeley. But I think the classic position before submission is the saying that we're looking for right here. And there's the full guard there from Seeley.
There's no doubt that Seeley most likely the superior grappler of the two, but Bartholemy throws bricks. But when you throw bricks, you often leave yourself open. And that's what Seeley needs to look for.
And that's something that Bartholemy had discussed with me in a recent sit-down that we had. He just said that, hey, I know the mistakes I've made in my previous fight. I know I like to brawl, but I'm also getting smarter. I'm learning the ins and outs of the MMA game. And he really wanted to credit Castro MMA for the work that they've done with him and for everything that they have been able to add to his MMA arsenal here.
Absolutely. Castro MMA for Bartholemy and Gracie Fighter Stockton for Seeley.
Training very closely with the likes of Ernie Juarez and the alley cat, Samuel Alvarez, a man that both of those gentlemen are very familiar with the likes of Mr. Johnny Lanquasto.
Absolute studs. Juarez has become a main event mainstay for A1 Combat, and very bright future for both he and Alvarez.
And Seeley looking to lock up a triangle there, and Bartholemy able to
nice
pull out the right
transition.
arm, and now just looking to go back to the wrestling and stick to the basics is Bartholemy. And now, oh wow, great setup there from Seeley to get away from that pressure there. Wow.
Bartholemy trying to transition to the back, but you see Seeley there almost in a Kimura position.
Great trip there from Bartholemy. Utilized the positioning on the arm and utilizing that head pressure on the backside to go ahead and sweep Seeley down to the ground there.
Final 30 seconds of the first round.
David Shirley giving a stern warning to the likes of Sealy there. Sealy establishing top mount there. And Bartholemy could possibly be in some trouble here if Sealy is able to establish that right knee over the hip.
Now Sealy's going to transition to the back here and probably will run out of time here in the first round. And that'll do it.
A1 Combat would like to thank some more sponsors. Aloha Electric Sign Company, the best sign company on earth. You can find them at alohaelectricsigns.com. We also want to thank Sign On Factory, a so-called base sign.
Action-packed first round here between Michael Sealy and Joey Bartholemy.
Tonight's show is presented by Tom Anderson Presents.
Once again, coming up in the co-main event, the bantamweight title is at stake. Robbie Lopez taking on Jeffrey Bonia as we check out some of the standout moments from the first round. Bartholemy landed a nice combination there, but the majority of the round was spent on the ground, which is really where Sealy wants this fight to be. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. Send this broadcast around to your friends, and of course, subscribe to UFC Fight Pass if you want to watch every main card for A1 Combat. A1 Combat 24 will be historic with 4 title fights. As we're underway here, round 2. Joey Bartholemy in the checkered black and blue. Michael Sealy in the black. And once again, you have Sealy. Whoa, but Joey Bartholemy with a powerful takedown, and once again, Sealy working from his back. Sealy has Bartholemy here in the full guard up against the cage, and Sealy was looking for the triangle there, but Bartholemy able to establish side control. Nice pass. Bartholemy has really shown a lot of improvement in his ground game as both fighters back to their feet. And you know, Bartholemy, he wants to trade blows. He wants some exchanges here with Sealy. And a right hand lands. Certain experience advantage for Bartholemy coming in with 13 amateur fights. And you know, he said he's waiting for that moment to where he knows he's ready to turn pro. A standout victory tonight could certainly be that moment as he's facing the much younger Michael Sealy.
Michael Sealy doing a good job of keeping that head in the center of Joey's chest and just really neutralizing any sort of movement that Joey's able to go ahead and try and get off that cage. But then Joey does a good job here, really just doing the same game plan right back to Sealy.
Bartholemy is incredibly gritty, has a non-stop motor, great conditioning, and you know, he certainly doesn't have fear of the ground game of Michael Sealy.
And now looking to possibly set up a triangle or an armbar attempt here, a little bit difficult to go ahead and see, but definitely looks like Sealy is attempting to trap the arm of Bartholemy. Bartholemy has evolved his style so much so in his 13 fights. And this is a gentleman that, like how you said, has gone from a almost Street Fighter-esque style.
He was a street fighter. He flat out was a street fighter, getting into a lot of trouble, and he turned his life around thanks to mixed martial arts and the cage and everyone at Castro MMA, and a fantastic round for Joey Bartholemy.
Much like the likes of Ryu and all those guys over there in the mean streets of Capcom, Joey Bartholemy, much like that, takes any fight that's ready to come his way, and he has definitely been more than ready for whatever Michael Sealy has thrown his way here so far in these past 2 rounds.
And as we await the 3rd round, A1 Combat 24, the main card, will be unlike any card you've seen before. 4 title fights. The Bantamweight Championship is at stake, along with the Women's Featherweight title, the Welterweight title, and in the main event, the vacant A1 Combat Flyweight title. What an event it's going to be. And these prelims, Michael, have really been action-packed as we go back and check out some of the highlights in the 2nd round.
And Joey did a really, really good job of just sticking to this game plan that him and his coaches have been able to devise over these past couple of fights. And that's that Joey is, as much as he loves that street fighting style, like how we were aforementioning, he is really, really good at being able to apply pressure against the cage and just hold guys down and neutralize any type of offense that they're able to get going. And that's a skill that not a lot of guys are able to go ahead and get in the cage. Joey has been able to evolve that each and every fight.
Well, it's not easy to swallow your pride when it comes down to it, but you know, Bartholomy's smart enough to know that that's what an amateur run is all about, is you have to evolve as a fighter. And now he's, combination there by Bartholemy, and now he's shooting in to take down Sealy.
Got to watch out for the guillotine attempt there from Sealy. If he's able to go ahead and move that arm underneath the chin there, Bartholemy has been attempting a lot of takedowns and overall has been in the driver's seat in a lot of these grappling exchanges. You know that wears out on the body, wears out on the arms, possibly could see a guillotine. Oh, wow.
Another takedown, and this is really where the experience comes in. Bartholemy knows that if a fight is going to go the distance, the judges are always mostly going to side with whoever's dictating the pace, whoever's marching forward, and it's really been Bartholemy.
Bartholemy has done a really good job of executing on the mistakes of Sealy as well. And you've seen Sealy right there attempted to try and lock in that guillotine a little bit more. He adjusted the arm, and right as soon as he adjusted the arm out of the guillotine position, Bartholemy was able to go ahead and attack and get his opponent to the ground. And now Bartholemy is stacking Sealy here.
Yeah, Sealy's best case scenario, he would like to go for a triangle here, but I don't believe he has the space for it.
I think Bartholomy's just really trying to stack him up here and really trying to break that full guard, and looks like he's almost out of it here. Sealy's legs are breaking. There it is. Attempting an armbar there is the likes of Sealy and almost getting it off. It's like how we've been stating, Sealy has some sneaky ground game, much like of many blue belts that are out there in many jiu-jitsu mats. He's able to get some of those quick finishes and trying to lock in a guillotine there. I wonder why he is refraining from the guillotine. He's had that position a couple of times here in this 3rd round.
I think it really speaks to the smothering energy of Joey Bartholemy.
Must be,
He has not let up, and he really hasn't given Sealy any opportunities. Minus the 1st round when there was a moment where Sealy appeared to have a triangle locked in, but beyond that, it's really been all Bartholemy.
100%. Joey has done, like how you said, a great job of just maintaining pressure, and not only maintaining pressure, but doing it the right way, just sticking to the basics and just really keeping this fight in his ballpark, not really giving it to Sealy in any sort of fashion, and not letting him take too much control when he was able to apply those triangles and arm bars. Bartholemy did a really good job of just applying the defense, so a solid outing here from Bartholemy tonight.
Bartholomy's one of those fighters. He said, yeah, I may only be 5-8. That's from a lot of mistakes I made early on because of my ego wanting to be a street fighter, and he has really progressed as we're in the final 10 seconds here of the 3rd round.
And Sealy almost had that arm bar there. Bartholemy was in some trouble, but great defense there from Bartholemy. And now
that'll do it for the 3rd and final round, and we're going to another decision.
Both of those gentlemen showing some vigor and showing some attitude. I mean, you got one gentleman representing the San Jose area. You got another one representing Stockton. You know, both of those areas love their violence, love their fighters. I mean, they always show out in full support. I believe Bartholemy had a large home crowd tonight, and so did Michael Sealy, man. Both those guys brought it home for the crowd tonight for sure.
Bartholemy feels good as we await the official word from the judges in this 5th fight on the prelims. 3 more to go, of course, time permitting.
My Michael Seeley looking to still get those gloves off. And a solid performance there for Michael Seeley. Some things definitely needing to go back to the board and fix up, but not a bad performance at all, especially when you're facing a guy like the likes of Joey Bartholemy, so experienced in that cage, and just is really, like how I said, was able to execute on those smaller mistakes that Seeley was making. And sometimes that truly is the difference maker, especially in a close bout like this.
And it was such a strong start to that third round. You saw Bartholemy open with a combination and charging right in. And he essentially spent most of that third round in control time. So not quite sure if Seeley really did enough to sway the judges throughout these 3 rounds.
And Bartholemy, I was someone that had to cut weight this morning. He was having some issues making the weight and making it right on the money. And so he had to go and run. And so possibly a little bit of that, maybe to his advantage. He seemed he had the cardio and just was able to tire out Seeley over those past 3 rounds.
It's time for Garrett Furtig with the announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action-packed action, we go to your 3 judges at cage side for the decision. All 3 judges, Wade Vieira, Chad Shepard, and Daniel Mobley, see it the same. 30-27 for your winner by unanimous decision, Joey, the real one, Bartholemy.
An absolutely locked-in performance by Joey Bartholemy, now moving to 6-8, his 4th victory via unanimous decision. And this was really an entertaining fight to watch, a complete contrast of styles, but we're seeing just an involvement in the fighting style of Bartholemy.
Bartholemy has really been someone, although he faced a very tough Jonathan Wilson in his last fight, it was just much like this one, an execution of styles and just a real overall use of the grappling skills of Wilson to go ahead and pull that one out. And it wasn't necessarily bad performance from Bartholemy. So a great job for Bartholemy to be able to wrap this one up and to go ahead and head into our 6th bout of the evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Josh. Opponent ready to make his way to the cage, Muslim Garbatov.
I got this, yeah.
Muslim Garbatov, somebody that has been nothing short of impressive so far in his MMA career. 4 wins, 4 finishes, and all 4 of those finishes, besides from 1, have ended in the first round. You got to speak to this gentleman a little bit earlier today. What did you get from him, Johnny?
Well, he's very busy. He's been very successful, fighting out of King's MMA by way of Russia. He considers himself obviously a striker first, like you mentioned. 3 knockouts in the first round. And he made it very clear. He said, look, I want to keep this fight standing. But, you know, when you're an amateur, you have to balance certain things about your life. Aside from being a fighter, he's actually an expert in appliance repair. So he'll break your face, but he'll fix your washer dryer.
And not only is he breaking faces, fixing appliances. He's also a big fan of video games. And when we were interviewing him, had the GTA San Andreas thing bumping out of his phone. And if y'all don't know, Johnny Lonquasto, very familiar with that GTA game franchise. Next time you guys are possibly in a forest fire situation, make sure that you go ahead and listen in to the voice and may hear a familiar man.
Let's go back to Garrett.
A1 Combat 24 presents our featured prelim, set for three 3-minute rounds in the lightweight division, presented by Aloha Electric Sinar Company. We introduce first the blue corner, standing 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing 154.4 pounds, holding an amateur record of 4 wins, 1 loss, with 1 win coming by submission. He represents Bruno Lima Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy from Corning. He fights out of Chico, California, Josh Schultz. Now introducing his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 152.2 pounds, entering perfect at 4 wins, no losses. He represents Kings MMA from Anaheim, California, by way of Russia, boneless Muslim Garbatov. Your referee, Chad Shepard.
Our first lightweight bout of the evening on the A1 Combat 24 prelims.
Chad Shepard in the cage, ready to break this one off between Schultz and Garbatov. A very, very high-stakes lightweight matchup here tonight.
Josh Schultz in the black and Garbatov in the silver.
An orthodox style opening up here from Garbatov to start off the first round here.
Distinct height advantage, certainly appears to be a reach advantage for Garbatov.
And right away, Schultz entering into the clinch of Garbatov. And it'll be interesting to see how the reach of Garbatov comes into play here, especially as this round wings in, because we've only seen Muslim enter that second round once before in his amateur career.
Correct.
In his last bout. And a buggy choke here now being applied from the likes of Garbatov, and that may be locked in.
That is impressive. Wow. It appeared that Schultz got side control and Garbatov acted quickly.
Looking to lock in the buggy choke. Schultz, a BJJ practitioner, so not a unfamiliar position to him, but definitely a difficult one here for the 4-1 lightweight.
You mentioned Garbatov certainly had the heavy hands with 3 knockouts, and you know, Schultz felt like he had the superior ground game between the two, but what a quick start for Garbatov.
Great defense by Schultz there as well, keeping the hand on the phone, as coaches like to say,
right.
And just really doing a great job of nullifying the pressure and really tiring out Muslim. And now
tremendous.
Some great back take there from Josh Schultz.
Great patience there by Schultz and a great transition to the back.
And Schultz now looking to lock in a rear naked choke of his own, and that left arm is underneath the chin of Garbatov. He's got to be very careful here in the commencing minute here of this first round.
Difficult to see if Schultz has the seatbelt there.
Looks like he's still trying to lock in the seatbelt, but he has both hooks in, has that arm across the neck, and if he's able to get...
It certainly appears that he does now.
Behind the head. It's
still a minute to go in the first round here, Michael.
Muslim doing a good job of breaking out of the choke here, but still in top mount is Josh Schultz, and doing a great job of just keeping his hips and keeping the base of his pressure all on Muslim's body to where he's not even able to buck out into trying to attempt any defense here.
Great transition to a full mount here by Schultz. Seamless.
Great cross face there, and now Schultz looking to attempt a arm triangle, and he just is drowning Muslim right here on the ground as of right now. You've seen the submission attempt earlier from Muslim, but that may have tired out the legs, and a buggy choke is definitely very, very tiring, especially when you're trying to keep it locked in like how Muslim had it for, it seemed, for minutes in that first round.
Well, a complete 180 for Josh Schultz. The first minute He was in dire straits, but it really was a story of a great transition to the back, followed by a full mount. And, you know, difficult one to call for the judges, but Michael, I mean, it really appeared that Schultz got the better of Garbatov for the most of that round.
And Schultz said that he would become more sharp as the fight went on here. And I didn't know if he thought it was going to be that early into the fight that he thought the sharpness was going to come in, but it definitely seems that he was able to catch on very quick to what Garbatov was trying to attempt there. And overall, just like how I've been saying, nullify that offense and just really keep it to where it's in his pace. And even when Muslim did attempt that buggy choke, it was off of the takedown of Schultz. So doing a good job of trying to make this his fight is Mr. Joshua Schultz.
When you train at such an incredible gym like Bruno Lima, you know, patience is certainly something that you're taught. And credit to Schultz, he did not panic when that buggy choke was locked in. And he maintained his composure and was really able to turn the entire first round around for him.
And credit to Garbatov as well, fighting out of a lot of back takes there. And it looks like that left may have clipped, and right lands on Schultz. Schultz goes right away to the takedown. Looks like a left may have slightly landed on the likes of Schultz to begin that second, and then a right followed. But the takedown brings Garbatov down.
Not surprising that Garbatov came out swinging in that second round, but Schultz was ready. It appeared he may have been clipped with a right hand, but able to take down Garbatov, immediate side control here.
Garbatov is doing a very, very good job of trying to just buck out of the control of Schultz and not making it easy. And that's something that's going to tire out Josh as the fight goes on, because as much as it is looking easy for a lot of the fans here to just go ahead and ride on the side mount, it's also very, very exhausting to keep that position for the whole entire second round. And
with
going
that
into
said,
the
though,
third.
Garbatov could also be tiring himself out as well. Oh, nice transition to the back once again by Schultz.
And great, and that's a great analysis as well right there, Johnny, as Schultz looks to hop on the back once again of Garbatov, and he is doing a great job here of just keeping not only the pressure on the back, but also of maintaining a hook at each time. Every single time Schultz is going to the back, he's got at least one hook, or he's trying to maintain position. He's not really too much worried about the submission.
Right here, Garbatov trying to use his hips to get out of this position, but Schultz moving right along with him.
I think Schultz is just really showing the experience here on the ground. And when you have the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experience, like the likes of Joshua Schultz, I believe a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you're able to pull these positions off seamlessly. And now a rear naked choke possibly in the looms here for Mr. Schultz. And that one is tied.
Oh, it certainly is, and that'll do it.
Wow. Joshua Schultz climbs to 5-1 here at the Hard Rocks in Sacramento with a rear naked choke in the second round over the previously undefeated Muslim Garbatov.
And Michael, Schultz really turned that fight around. The opening moments of the first, he was in deep trouble, but then he just took over technically.
You said it earlier, a complete 180 in that first round, and I believe that was the catalyst. He went into this second, and he had that confidence. He knew once he was gaining on the back, he had that position again, he was going to be able to execute that choke. Great job from Schultz being able to not only finish the fight, but also add another finish to that record of his. And like how he was saying earlier, he got very sharp as the fight went on.
And speak to the patience of Schultz here, especially in the second round once he established back control.
Such a beautiful takedown there. And like how you said, a great transition to the back. And then he was able to not only apply some of that ground and pound, but in that meantime, was able to get those hooks in. And when you're having to defend that ground and pound, Garbatov had no idea what was coming in. Great finish there from Schultz, and you got to wonder where it's going to lie Schultz in this A1 combat picture.
Let's get the official word.
The rear naked choke brings on the tap. Official time, 1 minute, 59 seconds of round number 2. Declaring your winner by submission, Josh Schultz.
Congratulations to Josh Schultz, moving to 5-1, his second submission victory as an amateur. And Michael, certainly a bright future for the Bruno Lima Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu product.
And after a performance like that, you gotta wonder. I know Josh Schultz, and a lot of people that may know Josh Schultz know he's a very quiet, demeanored man, but I've gotta wonder if he's asking for a title shot after a performance like that, because a lot of hype going into this performance behind the likes of Muslim Garbatov. 4-0. All 4 wins by finish, but Joshua Schultz comes in here, not only did a complete 180 in that first round, but I would argue he had a very dominant performance out here tonight.
Well, I think it's going to be not very long before we see both Schultz and Garbatov in the professional ranks, but it is now title time as we move on to the co-main event of the prelims.
Introducing first for our co-main event, Jeff Bonia.
How much money you got? 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 A lot. How much money you got? A lot. How many problems you got? A lot. How many people done doubted you? A lot. Left you out to rot? A lot. How many pray that you flop? A lot. How many lawyers you got? A lot. How many times you got shot? A lot. How many niggas you shot? A lot. How many times did you ride? A lot. How many niggas done died? A lot. How many times did you cheat? A lot. How many times did you lie? A lot. How many times did she leave? A lot. How many times did she cry? A lot. How many chances she done gave you? Fuck around with these thighs. Every day that I'm alive,
Being a pressure fighter. And he just looked back at me and said, I'm not a pressure fighter, I'm a firework fighter. He said, I may not have much to say here, but in that cage, I want to be as entertaining as possible. So, certainly a lot to live up to, but the bantamweight title is vacant, and he's got a massive opportunity right now.
And cornered over there by Salinas' team, Take Flight MMA, he also was getting a lot of work in with the likes of a lot of boxing gyms in the area. He actually said that that was a big focus for this camp, especially for facing the likes of a striker like Robbie Lopez, was to really make sure he was on his A1 game over there in Salinas, California, in the 831.
Bonia, a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and obviously feels great about his grappling, but he said he wants to prove his striking prowess tonight in winning the A1 Combat Amateur Bantamweight title.
Maybe in less of a critical way. I asked him, I said, so where do you see this fight going? And he said, you know, if it happens in the striking department, it happens. If it happens in the grappling department, we can go there too. I told him, I said, you remind me a little bit of Ivan Drago with that statement, if he dies, he dies. And he said, I guess you could say that as well, Michael.
I think he might be too young to know who Ivan Drago is, but nonetheless, he definitely does have that demeanor about him.
I only have a couple of years on him, so I got confidence in Mr. Jeffrey Bonia. Also, a huge boxing capital is Salinas, California, the former home of a champion in Muhammad Ali. And now Jeffrey Bonia looking to carry over some of those good boxing genes and possibly show off a great mixed martial arts performance and climb to 7-2 and earn a A1 bantamweight title in the process.
Please welcome his opponent, Robert Lopez.
Well, Michael, a strong ovation for the Castro MMA product, only 19 years of age, Robbie Lopez, and there is very good reason why he has fans already.
A young phenom in his time, much like the likes of Bonia, training over there alongside one half of the main event in Ramon Cornejo, the 19-year-old black belt in Muay Thai underneath Julio Castro, and now a second-year Menlo College wrestler as he is hugging his mother over there, Jesse. And he says this is not only a family affair for him, but his MMA career, it means so much more to him than just earning belts and earning championship gold. His career is driven by faith, Johnny.
You know, and when you're having a conversation with Robbie Lopez, you know, 5-0, 5 finishes, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions, it's difficult to believe he's only 19 years old. He is so focused and just so intelligent and wise beyond his years. And he maintains such a busy schedule. You mentioned, you know, number one, he's a former 559 Fights flyweight champion. He's a marketing major, and he's been waiting for a fight because his school schedule has been insane, and he's got that opportunity. Garrett Fertig set the stage.
Your championship co-main event is sponsored by Sayonara Factory. 3-minute rounds for the vacant A1 Combat Amateur Bantamweight Championship. This evening's amateur fights are sanctioned by the California Amateur Mixed Martial Arts Organization. We introduce first the blue corner, standing 5'7", weighing 134 pounds, with 6 wins, 2 losses. He represents Team Take Flight from Salinas, California, Jeff, the Killer Bonia. Now introducing his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner at 5'5", weighing 133.9 pounds, undefeated as an amateur with 5 wins, no losses, 2 wins coming by submission, 3 by knockout, representing Castro MMA from Tracy, California, Robert Lopez.
Gentlemen, we've gone over all the rules in the back. Protect yourselves at all times. Listen to my commands. If you want to touch gloves, do so now. Have a good fight.
You know, considering that ovation for Robbie Lopez, checking out the tail of the tape, undefeated for Lopez at 5-0, 6-2 for Bonia, 2-inch height advantage for Bonia, and just about even in weight. You know, Michael, Bonia has to feel like he's fighting in enemy territory here.
100%, and this is a matchup that isn't far for both of these gentlemen. Tracy, California, the home for Robert Lopez, and Salinas, California, the home for Jeffrey Bonia. So not a far distance for both of them, but like how we stated, a young phenom in Robert Lopez. And Jeffrey Bonia, a little bit more soft-spoken, and, you know, although he has his fans out here tonight, Robert Lopez brought a horde of them here.
He certainly did. We got a chance to meet his adorable 5-year-old brother earlier today. He was hanging out at the weigh-ins, and we were talking.
You cannot blink when Robbie Lopez gets in that cage. A nice kick there lands on the back leg of Bonia, and wow, Robbie Lopez just looks as fresh as ever. He has had some time off from the cage, but
they're both lightning quick, but Robbie Lopez shown to be explosive here early on. He is charging right in, and he's landed a couple shots already, Michael.
And he's just so fast, like how you just stated, John. I mean, wow, the way that Robbie is able to enter into some of these sequences, I can't even commentate on them. It's so fast. And that right and that left, the way that he is able to pair all these strikes together, it's almost like art here tonight.
Yeah, he's really landing these combinations early on. Been training in karate since the age of 8, moved on to jiu-jitsu, and he's really been with Castro MMA for his entire time as a mixed martial artist. And, you know, this is what's great about these amateur fights is you are seeing the stars of tomorrow. Case in point, both of these men, and what another kick.
Great front.
Oh, and now a right hand.
And that 2 lands, and wow, Robbie's just pairing everything. He has seen it all in there very well tonight. It seems Bonia's just a little bit of a step behind in the striking department against Robbie here. And, I mean, you can see why, like how you stated, a very extensive background in not only karate, but taekwondo, and then also has a black belt in Muay Thai underneath Julio Castro, who prides himself on being well-versed as a mixed martial artist. So, you know, Robbie is not only going to come in here looking to strike, but he can also grapple on the ground as well.
We are seeing him use all 8 of those limbs right now. I mean, he's landing a series of kicks.
And he is having a lot of success, too, in being able to establish the range. Although Robbie is a smaller fighter, he is able to use his kicks and really establish the pace with those kicks, because when you're trying to avoid an axe kick, when you're trying to avoid a head kick, it really does put you into some compromising positions.
And if you're Bonia, you know, he did tell us, look, I want to strike tonight, but when it comes down to it, he might want to try and take this to the ground.
An overhand right lands on the likes of Robbie Lopez, from the likes of Robbie Lopez, my apologies. Bonia attempts on with an inside leg kick, and a right head kick once again from the likes of Lopez.
Oh, combination followed by a jab, and another kick finds a home in the face of Bonia. What an explosive first round it was. But Robbie Lopez thus far as good as advertised.
And not slowing down at all from when he last left off over there at 559 fights 100. And crazy, or believe it or not, he actually is almost a year out from the cage as of today. 9/16/23 was his last performance. September 16th, 2023 was the last time Robert Lopez was in this cage. If you had told anybody in the crowd tonight that it's been a 1-year layoff, I don't think they would believe you here, Johnny.
Oh, he was so motivated today. He said, look, I've wanted to fight, but his life and school schedule was so busy that he wasn't able to because, you know, he is an active wrestler for Menlo College, and, you know, while he's a student, that has to take priority. So he's been waiting almost a full calendar year for this moment.
And the coaches of Bonia telling the likes, and the coaches for for Jeffrey Bonia telling him, hey, you got to be able to go ahead and get on the outside of Lopez here, it seemed. That's what the discussions were being held over there in that corner, and you can see why, because anytime Robbie is hanging on the inside, he is firing off on those uppercuts and those hooks, just like how he showed off right there.
Bonia told us his game plan was to read and react, and very difficult to do when your opponent is as quick
Nice
as Robbie
head kick
Lopez.
There. Pairs it with a body kick, and he's just, both these gentlemen so fast, but Robbie has been able to pair everything together so fast. And I think that's what really has been the big difference maker here tonight, John. Once again, and it just seems anytime that clinch is initiating for Lopez, Bonia is doing a very good job of getting out of it, but what I maybe want to see is a little bit more pressure, possibly willing to just go ahead and throw him out, because, I mean, at this point, it seems that Robbie is seeming to circle in and have a lot more of the control in this bout.
Well, all the initiation is coming from the side of Robbie Lopez, and it really just speaks to his quickness. I mean, he's got so much explosion behind every strike, behind every kick.
It seems before Bonia is even able to think of something to go ahead and dish out, Robbie's already coming with 3 more, and that's not to go ahead and discomment on Bonia. Bonia, very experienced martial artist, 6-2 in his campaign, but there's some speeds that just cannot be matched, and Robbie Lopez is showing that his speed is on a different type of terrain here tonight.
And Bonia has proven to have amazing conditioning, 5 of his victories via decision. And we knew this was going to be a tremendous fight for the bantamweight title, and thus far certainly has not disappointed.
Most recently also taking a win over Jackson Henson over there at the Salad Bowl Showdown in May of this year. And Jackson Henson, a former Division I wrestler, so you know his cardio is right. So for Bonia to be able to pull out the win in a very tough competition like that, you know that he is coming into this one with all the skills and everything tested that he possibly could.
Thus far, you know, Bonia has really been content with standing and exchanging, now switching stances again.
And both of these gentlemen very familiar to the flyweight divisions, but deciding to meet up here at the bantamweight division for this championship bout. And I believe fans were treated to a possible fight that could be in the pros here, and both these gentlemen are just showing off the tools in their striking arsenal here in the second round.
Yeah, Lopez told us this morning, he said, you know, I prefer to be at 125. And he said, I wasn't about to pass up an opportunity for a title at 135. And, you know, both fighters really came ready, as we're going to be heading to a 3rd round.
I don't think that would have been in a lot of people's bingo cards for the night here with both these gentlemen. I mean, not only has Robbie Lopez been able to get the finish against all of his opponents, but Bonia, 6-2 in his amateur campaign so far, and just has truly been able to show his skill in there and the ability to be able to go ahead and execute on the mistakes of his opponents.
This is our co-main event on the prelims for A1 Combat 24. We are going live on UFC Fight Pass. A historic night for A1 Combat, 4 title fights. But first, the featherweight title will be at stake in the main event of the amateurs. And Marius Taylor will be taking on Ramon Cornejo coming up next. But first, Michael, we have one more round to decide the new bantamweight champion for A1 Combat.
I think Bonia's got to go out there and earn a finish if he really wants to go ahead and solidify this bantamweight title in his grasp. It seems Robbie Lopez has been able to control it, at least on the scorecards here so far through these first 2 rounds. And it seems that if we're going into this 3rd round, we definitely need to see a finishing commencement from the likes of Bonia. And Chad Shepard checking in with both these gentlemen before the beginning of this 3rd round, as we look to get this one underway.
Here we go. You can hear the Robbie chants all the way through the Hard Rock Live in Sacramento. And what an exchange.
Right flips Robbie. Both gentlemen trading in the center of the cage there. The right gets Robbie against the edges of the cage here, and Bonia now in the driver's seat of pressure here. This has not been a position that Bonia has seen himself so far in the matchup, but that right doing some damage on the likes of Lopez.
Well, I think Bonia realizes he has to be a little more urgent in this third and final round. In all likelihood, judges probably going to give rounds 1 and 2 to Lopez.
100%. Like how I was stating previously, it seemed that Lopez had the
advantage
in terms of speed and being able to pair everything together in those first 2 rounds. And if Bonia wants to see his name being read off these scorecards, I think we're going to go ahead and need to see a finish here. But if Robbie's able to go ahead and ride out this third round, possibly could see the first decision from him in his young amateur career.
As if we didn't see enough in the arsenal of Robbie Lopez tonight, shooting in for an impressive takedown, and now in the full guard of Jeffrey Bonia.
He's got another Menlo College alumni over there in Josh Emmett watching him cage side. You know he's pretty proud of that takedown. And I mean, not only the accolades that Robbie has been able to acquire so far, but the fact that he chose to go to Menlo College, a very, very popular choice for some UFC's faithful so far, such as Carlos Esparza,
like I said,
the aforementioned Josh Emmett, along with Cody Gibson.
Without question. I mean, you just see a guy like Robbie Lopez, 19 years old. He knows what he wants his future to be. It's very difficult to know what you want to do with your life at 19, but he's already figured it out. You know, really, as has Bonia, already 8 fights under his belt, only at the age of 20.
And not only that, what you were saying with Robbie, but he also has his message and what he really fights for established. And that is something that if you have your why established so young in your career, it can definitely make a difference in being able to execute on the things that you want to be able to just further your career by. And it seems that Robbie is well on his way to furthering his career in the greenest of pastures.
Robbie Lopez has his mother in his corner. And, of course, his little brother close by.
Jeffrey Bonia now shooting in on a takedown here. And good job with keeping his head out of a dangerous position on the guillotine there. But Robbie doing a good job of keeping the cage in the favor of Lopez, and a right hook fired off from Bonia there.
Well, going the distance, familiar territory for Bonia, but for the first time in Lopez's career, he has a fight going to the scorecards.
Not the worst one-year layoff you could have if you're going to a decision your first bout in about a year. So
that's
definitely a great impressive performance there from Robbie Lopez, but also hats off to Jeffrey Bonia, not only going into this fight in a division that he usually doesn't fight at in bantamweight, both these gentlemen doing that, but also, I mean, willing to duke it out on the feet with one of the most skilled strikers that the flyweight division that California has seen in the flyweight division.
We're moments away from crowning the A1 Combat Amateur Bantamweight Champion.
Tom Anderson in the cage there with our ring girl Kimber, and this is a position that Tom Anderson has been in before. Has been in the cage with Robbie Lopez, actually offered him that A1 Combat professional contract. Like how you stated, Robbie's still over there at Menlo College, not able to take that professional venture just yet, but still decided he wanted to hop into that cage and go ahead and test his skills. And that's kind of the reasoning behind this matchup here tonight.
Lopez is very focused on his education, but also his wrestling career. And he's enjoying his time as an amateur. He said, look, by the time I turn pro, I'm going to be more than ready, and let's see if he's ready to become a champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action-packed action in our co-main event on our prelims of A1 Combat 24, we go to your 3 judges at cage side for the decision. All 3 judges, Wade Vieira, David Shirley, and Daniel Mobley, see it the same, 30-27 for your winner by unanimous decision. And now, the A1 Combat Amateur Bantamweight Champion, Robert Lopez.
And Robbie Lopez climbing to 6-0 in his amateur career, now with 3 belts in his category, 559 fights champion, the 209 beatdown champion in the flyweight division, and now the A1 Combat Bantamweight champion, Johnny.
It's very rare when you see the future of a fighter so clearly, but when you look at Robbie Lopez, 6-0 now, and the new amateur bantamweight champion, let's be honest, college graduation can come soon enough, but he still has a couple of years to go.
And with that marketing degree, you know he's only going to get more and more fans in here to watch those bouts. And I think we have a very, very promising prospect over there in Tracy, California, in the likes of Mr. Roberto Lopez.
Set now for prelim main event, Amarius Taylor.
We're back in business.
And a home crowd tonight for the 530's very own Amarius Taylor, coming off back-to-back first-round KOs in the lead-up to tonight. Taylor now looks to bring home a win and that A1 Combat Featherweight Championship to a fiance that, in his words, Johnny, is expected to pop at any time now.
Yeah, exactly. Those were his exact words today, actually, at the fighter interviews. Amarius Taylor, 4-2 as an amateur, 4-fight win streak. And of course, his previous 2 fights, like you mentioned, first-round knockouts, most recently at A119, just 3 months back. And, you know, he said starting his career off with 2 losses, he's incredibly grateful for them. He said, look, they were a shock to my system. They made me realize I wasn't as good as my ego thought I was. And he's been laser-focused ever since. And, you know, the proof has definitely been in the results on this win streak.
Much like his fiance ready to pop with their newborn daughter, Taylor said he's ready to pop onto the professional scene with a big win here tonight if he is able to achieve that feat. But he said first he has the likes of Ramon Cornejo in his way, and he said he is not taking him for lightly. He knows that this is a very game opponent, 8-2 in his amateur career, and he knows that he's going to have a very tough challenge awaiting him here in this A1 Combat prelim main event.
And he told us, he said, all I'm thinking about is my daughter one day watching this fight back as I win a title. What an opportunity. Let's get his opponent.
And now his opponent, Ramon Cornejo.
Ramon Cornejo, El Toro, as his teammates call him, the Bull, has seen his share of the top crop of the featherweight and lightweight division here in California's amateur scene. With a win here tonight, possibly opening up a new chapter in his mixed martial arts career, the professional venture.
Strong ovation for Cornejo, coming in 8-2. He's proven to be technical, very precise, very intelligent. Hasn't really shown much of a finishing arsenal throughout his first 10 fights, as 7 of his victories have come via decision. But nonetheless, he feels like a strong performance tonight, and he might be ready to turn pro.
And family is a big motivator to a lot of these guys on this Castro MMA team. And much as the likes for Ramon Cornejo, his younger brother, also a mixed martial artist and somebody that is 1-0 in his MMA career. Ramon Cornejo, a purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu, and along with being a coach over there at the Patterson Castro MMA location. So you know that Ramon dedicates his life to the sport. He puts all his time into it. So for him, this championship opportunity, it's not just a championship opportunity. It's a chance for him to be able to display his skills on one of the biggest stages of them all here at A1 Combat.
That's right. When you have that kind of dedication, you're only going to see positive results. As Ramon Cornejo has had a very successful amateur career, let's find out tonight if he can put the finishing touches with some gold. As we go to Garrett Fertig for the official word. Oh, tail of the tape, here we go. Both fighters coming in, 22 years of age. Aforementioned records for both fighters, even at 6-0, and just about even in weight, as we have the stage set.
Tonight's main event is presented by Tom Anderson Presents. Now, from Sacramento, California, the time has come for our main event. 3-minute rounds for the A1 Combat Amateur Featherweight Championship. Introducing first, the blue corner, at 6 feet tall, weighing 143.9 pounds. On a 4-fight win streak, he returns to A1 Combat, holding an amateur record of 4 wins, 2 losses, representing Klingen's MMA and kickboxing from Yuba City, California, Amarius Taylor. And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, also standing 6 feet tall, weighing 143.7 pounds, 8-2 as an amateur, making his A1 combat debut, representing Castro MMA from Milpitas, California, Roman Cornejo.
All right, boys, bring it in. All right, gentlemen, we went over the rules in the back. I expect a clean, good fight. Defend yourselves at all times. Listen to my commands. Touch gloves now. Come out ready to bang.
The Hard Rock is just about full
Referee
as
for amateur
the Hall of Famer Uriah Faber walks
David
by.
Shirley.
The fans still filing in here, but what a prelim card this has been as we're about to crown our second amateur champion of the night. Featherweight division, we are underway. 3 rounds.
Amarius Taylor kicked this one off fast here. Right away is trying to just utilize that reach in the leg department and just fire off those kicks.
And speaking with Taylor earlier today, you kind of knew he wanted to get off to a fast start. That's just his style. That's just his attitude in life. Quick stoppage there, and now we're back.
Looked like a towel had entered the cage there. Amarius Taylor looking to fight off the cage, and that was something that he said that he was going to be looking from Ramon in this matchup. He said he watched a lot of his fights back and had really felt that he would be able to capitalize on the mistakes of Cornejo here in this championship matchup, especially with these 3-minute rounds.
Well, that said, Cornejo has not made a lot of mistakes in his amateur career, not just 8-2, but you know, with his fights going to decision and him coming out on top, obviously he's impressed the judges in the majority of his fights. Oh, nice back transition there by Cornejo.
And Taylor's got to be careful here. Both hooks in there for Cornejo, a very, very skilled Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner over there underneath Julio Castro, a purple belt, and also the kids instructor over there for the Patterson MMA courses. So, you know, he knows his rear naked chokes and back ticks. And good job of flattening out the likes of the long Amarius Taylor by Cornejo there.
They're both listed at 6 foot, but Taylor just looks to be a lot rangier, a lot taller.
I think that was a classic roundup from the Milpitas doctors over there on Ramon's side, because I think Taylor's he's looking at least 6'2".
Yeah, very possible. Nonetheless, Cornejo remaining in control here, and
maybe Taylor and Rinker have been entering in some of those same dunking competitions, and he didn't want to look as tall compared to some of the other opponents there.
Not quite sure anyone has the vertical of Rinker, that's for sure. And you see the patience here on the part of Cornejo.
Looks like
he's taking what's given.
Looks like he's trying to set up a arm bar or a triangle there, but just wasn't able to get that leg across the chin of Taylor. And there is the triangle set up there from Ramon Cornejo. Cornejo doing a good job of applying the ground and pound strikes and possibly looming to earn his first amateur finish.
Oh.
And there is the armbar there. And Amarius Taylor is into some deep trouble here, especially if he's able to get that arm across the chest.
Can Taylor, oh, nice transition there. Can he survive the final 20 seconds? It appears that he's able to. Yes, he's able to get out. But Cornejo.
Good defense there from Amarius Taylor, fending off Cornejo, but Cornejo locking in a triangle here in these waning seconds. And will Taylor look to hold on, now transitioning to an armbar as Cornejo, and that is getting tight. Wow, great defense there from Taylor.
What a strong finish to a rather dominant first round by Ramon Cornejo.
And it looked like his arm had turned in and turned out. And that's the advantage of being able to not have that fabric on you. And it's not like when you're in jiu-jitsu in a gi where you're able to grab onto the gi, or where you're able to grab on in no gi with people having the long sleeves. That truly did show right there. And I'm interested to see how Ramon looks to apply that same game plan looking into these next 2 rounds.
Well, speaking of game plan, if he keeps this up, I don't believe Cornejo has a catchphrase or a nickname, but you might as well call him the Constrictor, because he was overwhelming in that first round.
Right now it's the Bull, and I think the Constrictor works a little bit better. Ramon, the Constrictor, Cornejo, definitely may be in the new markets. They may need to go ahead and hit you up for that trademark there, John.
Well, if he watches this back, feel free to use it, Ramon. As we're ready for the second round here in this main event on the prelims.
David Shirley in there to break up the action between this amateur main event. And once again, Ameris Taylor firing off a meaty leg kick there to open off the second round.
The question is, will Taylor be a little more patient this round? You know, started off the first round very strong, but Cornejo took what was given to him and, you know, really spent the rest of that first round in control time.
Both gentlemen meet each other in the middle of the cage with leg kicks there, and it's going to be very interesting to see how both of these gentlemen look to take this second round. And Ameris Taylor is doing a very good job of defending Cornejo against the cage. Cornejo actually had to use some of his wrestling and just really squeeze the legs to get Taylor down. So I'm interested to see how he brings down the lengthy Taylor once again.
Taylor coming in 3 of his 4 victories via knockout. Cornejo yet to have a knockout in his career, 1 submission victory, 7 via decision.
That submission victory coming in 2022, possibly a finishing victory that could end off the amateur career and be 2 years in the making for Cornejo if he's able to get one here tonight. Almost was able to pull off that armbar early in the first. Now transitioning to the back is Cornejo.
Went for the leg sweep, Taylor able to evade.
And for Cornejo being the size that he is deceptively strong. And that is something that I've discussed at length with his opponents before. And he is just really able to, when he gets a hold of you, it is hard to go ahead and not only move, but to go ahead and try and get any sort of relief of pressure. And it just seems Cornejo is doing a lot of that here as well, keeping that head right into the stomach of Taylor.
Well, we're seeing not just impressive grappling display. Cornejo's conditioning is top-notch, really. He's just overwhelming Taylor right now with smothering him, essentially.
He's just drowning Taylor at this moment.
Oh, nice transition.
Yeah, I was just about to say, he's looking to try and get his back here and does a very good job of sneaking that hook in and then just getting that other hook over the top. And now Taylor doing a great job of defending against that rear naked choke, but now Cornejo looking to possibly keep on that attack.
Much like at the end of the first round, Taylor finding himself in a position he would much prefer to get out of.
Cornejo doing a good job of fighting those hands there of Taylor, because if he's able to get that hand across that chin, he may not even be able to get a rear naked choke. He could get a neck crank here in this position. And Taylor doing I know he's having fun and smiling it off, but this is definitely not the position you want to be in against Cornejo.
Now, certainly another very strong round for Ramon Cornejo, and you know, going into the third and final, you'd have to believe Taylor's going to come out guns blazing.
Second round now commences, and just like how you said, you best believe that he is going to have to come out in this third round with all guns a-firing, because these first 2 rounds have been nothing but Ramon Cornejo.
High-level grappling and tremendous patience shown by Ramon Cornejo throughout these first 2 rounds in this A1 Combat Amateur Featherweight title fight. Our 8th and final fight on the prelims as we await the main card of A1 Combat 24. 4 more titles will be on the line tonight as we check out the moments from round 2.
And Taylor did a good job in the beginning of the second round of keeping Cornejo true and really just having Cornejo respect the takedown defense of Taylor, but then Taylor was able, Cornejo was just able to wane on the gas tank of Taylor there in that second round and almost was able to pull off that rear naked choke in the commencing seconds.
It's officially crunch time.
Third round now here underway. Cornejo has such an interesting style, the way he bobs and weaves. It's really not like a lot of guys that you watch in the cage, and I think that kind of adds to his ability to be able to attack with the takedowns. And it's just, you don't know when he's popping up. You don't know when he's going to strike. It truly does add to the unpredictability of Cornejo.
Well, just as unpredictable, certainly the style of Taylor. He is incredibly electric, very explosive, as evidence of the 3 knockouts thus far in his career. But as we've seen time and time again, an incredible grappler can often stifle a powerful striker.
And you don't often see that at these lighter weight classes at 145, 135. You don't see that one-touch, two-touch power. But Taylor was able to get not only that knockout over Seeley with 1 or 2 hits, but he got a 15-second knockout before that. So you know that he has that finishing prowess as Cornejo climbs on the back here of Taylor.
It's almost like a replay of the first round as Cornejo on the back of Taylor.
Possibly looking at a inverted triangle here is the likes of Cornejo if he's able to sneak that left leg over the shoulder.
It's difficult to see from our
Taylor.
angle here, but nonetheless, he's got firm control.
And almost landing in the back control once again was Taylor, but recognizing his mistake was able to go ahead and flatten out Cornejo. And I mean, that is one thing to give credit to Taylor in this matchup is, although he is rather fresh in the grappling department, he has done very, very well in defending a lot of these attacks from Cornejo here tonight.
And if you're Cornejo, Michael, this is exactly where you want to be. You realize you were in control for the first 2 rounds, and you know, essentially you're spending the majority of this round in control as well.
Yes, and attacking the arm is Cornejo. He's possibly looking, he could get a Kimura.
Oh, look at that,
here.
the internal rotation.
Could get a Kimura here, or possibly an armbar if he's able to flip Taylor over, but Taylor doing a great job of linking those hands together, and you got to give credit to Taylor, because in this 3rd round, you know those hands are tired, and those fingers are wanting to let go for sure.
Cornejo has been just picturesque with his technique.
And there is that flip that I was just talking about with that armbar. If he's able to attach the arm to the chest, Cornejo, we may be seeing a stoppage here.
Right now you're seeing Taylor, his hands firmly clasped together in the final 12 seconds of this round.
And now a triangle attempt here from the likes of Cornejo, and trying to get that arm across and just really solidify it. And that, let me tell you, is not comfortable whatsoever. And great job there from Taylor, just riding it out. And wow, great performance from both those gentlemen.
Taylor is incredibly gritty, very difficult to put away. Tremendous amateur featherweight title fight here to close out the A1 Combat 24 prelims, as we are going to another decision. But this really was action-packed all throughout the 3 rounds.
It seemed at any point the fight could change, and we've seen that in our co-main event. You've seen Bonia land that right and it had Robbie a little bit on Curve Street. That could have happened in this one. Amarius Taylor, a very, very strong gentleman in the striking department, and it just wasn't his night out here tonight, and that is by no means a defeat to the skills of Taylor. It's just to go to show that is how good Cornejo is when he's on the ground.
It's time for the official word. Garrett Furting.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action-packed action in our main event here at A1 Combat 24 Prelims, we go to your 3 judges at cage side for the decision. All 3 judges, Wade Vieira, Chad Shepard, and Daniel Mobley, see it the same at 30-27. All for your winner by unanimous decision. And now, A1 Combat Amateur Featherweight Champion, Ramon Cornejo.
And the tale of Ramon Cornejo's amateur career possibly ending in the Hard Rock in Sacramento here tonight with his unanimous decision win and A1 Combat Featherweight Championship capture over here tonight over Amarius Taylor. What a performance from El
Absolutely was. Ramon Cornejo moving to 9-2 and possibly moving to the professional ranks. And with that said, we thank you so much for joining us for the A1 Combat 24 prelims. Please tune in to UFC Fight Pass for a historic A1 Combat 24. For Michael Hernandez, I'm Johnny LaQuasto. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been A1 Combat.
Your lead inspector, George Ramos Jr., timekeeper Derek Enns, our ringside physicians, Dr. Timothy Smith and Dr. Gary Furness, our 3 judges, Chad Shepard, Wade Vieira, and Daniel Mobley, your referees, David Shirley and Mike Bentran. This show is presented by Tom Anderson presents Uriah Faber and UFC Fight Pass.